Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for attending today. So I'm going to be presenting on the topic of inspiring professional development, and my session will be very much focused on Canvas Catalog. So I led a project to implement Canvas Catalog this year, and we began the implementation well, actually I say this year, it was technically last year. We started the implementation in September, and then we launched in March of this year. And for those who may not know, Canvas Catalog is an online platform where you can host continuing educational programs or professional development opportunities that people can self-enroll on. And it is connected to Canvas, the virtual learning environment. So our aim is for Canvas Catalog to become our one-stop shop for staff to access professional development opportunities. But our students do also have access to it, and they can access extracurricular learning opportunities via Catalog. But like I say, today my focus will be on staff. And in particular, I'll be explaining how we've used Learning at Work Week to promote staff engagement with professional development in general and on Catalog. So, little bit about me. So my name's Caroline Bearpark. As Anshul said, I'm currently an e-learning coordinator in the digital learning team at the University of Sunderland in London. And I've worked in a range of administrative roles in the education sector since I entered employment in 2017. And after finding a passion for digital learning and deciding it was what I wanted to specialise in, I transitioned into higher education a few years ago now when I started my current role. My role very much focuses on developing the digital skills of our academics and designing learning to achieve this. However, I'm passionate about lifelong learning and professional development in general, so my aim has always been to expand our offer to all staff, and Catalog has given us the great opportunity to do this. And yeah, as Anshul mentioned, I have recently joined EmpowerED as an organising committee member. So, these are the key things I want you to take away from today. Like I say, my presentation is very focused on Canvas Catalog. I should mention that this session actually comes from a session that I did at InstructureCon a couple of months ago, and obviously it was quite a different audience, and it was very tailored to Instructure's products, one of which is, of course, Catalog. But I'm hoping that much of what I'm going to speak about today can be applied to implementing any new digital platform and inspiring professional development in general. So my aim is for you to leave here today with some strategies for setting up and implementing Canvas catalogs or whatever platform it is that you want to implement, including best practices and potential pitfalls. I'll also share some ideas for inspiring staff to actively engage with Canvas Catalog or just professional development in general, and then some digital tools that can be utilised for the creation of engaging and visually appealing learning resources. So since joining the university, I have implemented a digital learning offer, and this began with an offering of workshops. I identified what skills and knowledge we could offer and created workshops for these. These were then advertised to staff for them to sign up and attend. And the primary audience for the offer until very recently has always been academic staff. And again, the primary focus of the content we were offering was on digital skills and tools for teaching and learning. We tended to run ad hoc training workshops for professional support staff, and these would be focused on the knowledge or skills required to perform a certain task. We have found that staff tend to struggle to attend workshops due to conflicts with teaching or other requirements of their job. So in response to that, I started to map out what we could offer asynchronously and how. And the aim was that by offering our training asynchronously, more staff would be able to engage because they could complete it at a time convenient to them. And I used Canvas to host all of these asynchronous learning materials for our learning offer. And I did that in modules, whether in the form of a short course or a micro-learning. But the problem with doing this was that staff couldn't self-register for these trainings. They needed to be added to the module to access it because they couldn't self-enroll on those modules. And we had to set it up that way so that we could obviously see who had completed them. And what this meant was staff had to contact us to be added to a module. And there also wasn't really one place where they could see everything that we had on offer. And this problem became particularly evident when I started planning for Learning at Work Week in 2023. I wanted to offer lots of micro-learnings for staff to complete throughout the week, but there wasn't a place to host all of these where staff could access and enroll on them and complete them. So everything seemed really complicated. I did identify a workaround in which I created a module on Canvas and added all of the learning content for the week there, and then I added all staff to the module. And whilst this worked, it wasn't ideal. Many staff didn't accept the module invite. As such, we started looking for solutions where staff could find all the asynchronous learning opportunities available and self-enroll. And the emphasis on self-enrollment was really, really important to me because it means the learner makes that choice to complete the learning. They're choosing to enroll on it, and they're therefore more likely to engage with it. I wanted them to take ownership over their own learning. And then because we already use Canvas, Catalog was the obvious choice for us as it allowed us to keep creating the content on Canvas in modules, but enable staff to find these modules and then self-enroll on them. And this is just a brief overview of how we launched Catalog. I would say it was very easy to set up. We had a project team consisting of myself, the rest of my team, the digital learning team, which at the time was 5 of us. We've now gone down to 4, and a representative from our IT department, and then another representative from the digital learning team based at our campus in Sunderland. And then finally, of course, really important, we had a representative from Instructure who were providing us with the product. And in the beginning, we had weekly meetings where we'd be shown how to set up different components of Catalog. Then we'd go away and do this. I'd say the biggest challenge of implementation was the content creation. I didn't want to launch Catalog without enough content, but I also didn't want all of our content to be digital skills focused. Luckily, we did have quite a bit of content that we'd already created from Learning at Work Week in 2023. So we began by transferring these into individual modules on Canvas and then adding these as listings on Catalog. As already mentioned, in terms of new content, I did want to move away from digital skills. Whilst important, I wanted it to be a rounded offer. So I did do a call out for other teams, asking them to share their subject matter expertise. But unfortunately, the engagement with this so far has been low. So we did kind of have to somewhat accept the digital focus of our content. We decided to begin by launching to staff in March. We then set a date to launch to students, which was at the end of April. And the aim of this was to get some feedback from staff, so we'd have the opportunity to identify any teething problems before we let students use the platform. And I found this to be extremely helpful. Whenever you're launching a new digital product, I strongly recommend a soft launch because we definitely discovered a few teething problems, which we were then able to mitigate for when launching to students. So, as I've already mentioned, we did have some content that already existed, but we did also need to create new content. So we started by dividing this between our team members. Because several people were creating content, there were some obvious inconsistencies in the creation of modules. And we also wanted to make sure that there was plenty of information in the module to guide learners, as this was obviously a new thing. So there had to be information such as where to download certificates, how to navigate the course, and obviously some general FAQs. So to achieve consistency and ensure that all the relevant information was included in every course, I did create template modules for the different types of courses that we were creating. This also made it easier and quicker for the creation of content. And then in terms of creating the content, we tend to use Rise 360 for the creation of micro-learnings, and then we use Canvas for courses. Using Rise is great as it allows for more interactive elements, but due to its layout, it's more conducive to micro-learnings. Whereas Canvas works very well for courses because you can set them up in units with a different unit for different topics within the course, and then you use Pages to create the content. I do also use Canva a lot to create graphics that go with the learning content, but also for the card images for our catalogue listings. So when we launched, obviously we needed to create some materials and some marketing and some comms to go with that. So the first thing that I did was I created an instructional video and a step-by-step guide to show our learners how to navigate and use catalogue. And this was particularly important as many of our staff and students have quite a low level of digital skills and therefore lack confidence using new digital tools. So by providing the instructional video and step-by-step guide, it allowed us to mitigate for this and ensure that people didn't just give up at the first hurdle. We hosted these on our SharePoint site so that all staff and students can access them. For staff, we did host a pre-launch session in which I explained what catalogue was, how it works, and made an appeal for content collaboration. This session was very well received and did help to raise awareness of catalogue. Then with regards to marketing, we've used various channels when launching. For staff, we used various Microsoft Teams channels, and I also prepared and sent a launch day newsletter. And then for students, we posted an announcement on a Canvas module that all students have access to. And I also created the one-page flyer that you can see on the screen with a QR code to share. And this gets circulated, especially around induction, but also they're just always around at our student gateway. In terms of continued marketing, we do now have a Course of the Month section in our regular newsletter. And then each month we highlight a new course for catalogue, on catalogue for staff. And then in terms of students, we're just going in obviously to a new academic year. So I've now decided to do the same thing for students, a Course of the Month, but instead of it obviously being sent by newsletter, it will be posted on the module that all students have access to that I mentioned earlier. And I have tried to link these to awareness days as well. So for example, at the end of September, it's National Coding Week. So I'm going to do quite a big promotion on, obviously, here's all of our courses for digital skills, as well as a course that's actually particularly relevant because it's an introduction to HTML. Okay, now on to how we've used Learning at Work Week. So we first ran Learning at Work Week in 2023, and the week was the result of a collaboration between 8 teams that I led, and we ran a survey beforehand to gauge what our staff wanted to learn and how. We managed to offer 17 learning opportunities, 11 of which were micro-learnings, and then we also ran 6 events. As I mentioned earlier, because we didn't have a centralised place where we could advertise the e-learnings, I had to create that Canvas module to host all of them in one place, and then staff were added to this module. Engagement was reasonably good. We found 39% of our staff engaged with something throughout the week, and 21% of our staff completed at least one micro-learning. So, with the launch of Catalogue, we wanted to utilise Learning at Work Week to promote the platform and drive up staff usage. It was once again the result of a collaboration between teams. Unfortunately, I had a few less teams this time around, and there was only 5 teams involved, which did mean we could offer less. However, we did manage to offer 10 learning opportunities, 5 of which were workshops, and then 4 e-learnings. Having Catalogue was great as it provided that centralised space that I was looking for to host the e-learnings. And my hope was that by having to self-enroll on the e-learnings that staff were interested in, they would be more committed and more likely to complete the learning. As with last year, we ran a survey prior to gauge what staff wanted to learn and how. But unfortunately, due to staff knowledge and time commitments, we couldn't accommodate much of what was requested. But obviously, we did still want to use the opportunity to promote Catalogue and encourage staff to visit the platform. So this time around, each day we had a theme with an event and an associated e-learning relevant to that theme. So, for example, Monday was Inclusive Monday with a workshop on creating LGBTQ plus safe learning spaces, and then we had an e-learning on designing inclusive learning materials. And when directing staff to catalogue, we didn't direct them to the specific e-learnings as we wanted them to log in and see everything that was there. Engagement with the week in general was pretty good again. We had 22% of our staff engaged with at least one learning opportunity, which was slightly lower than last year, but we also expected this due to a move to a 4-day working week and the fact that we were offering less. What was surprising to me was the lack of engagement with the e-learnings. So only 5% of staff completed an e-learning, and I suspect this was likely due to our inability to create relevant content as requested in the survey. As the one e-learning that 88% of these staff members completed was something that had been flagged as of great interest in the survey. 50% of the staff that enrolled on that particular e-learning have also already completed it, which definitely suggests that the content was relevant. And the process of self-enrollment did mean more engagement with the learning. And also, it really demonstrates the need for relevant content to engage staff with catalogue and professional development. And then on the upside as well, we prior to Learning at Work Week, 20% of our staff had activated their catalogue account, whereas after, 38% of staff had. So we did see an increase in the number of users, which was our aim. And overall, we've been very happy with the usage of catalogue so far. We're a small campus with around 4,000 students, and since launching catalogue in April, 233 of those students, which is about 6%, have activated their account. These are also old stats as well. I haven't checked them since preparing this presentation in July, so it's probably a few more now. And this is actually really, really good for us because we have often found it very difficult to engage students with our extracurricular offer. So I think the fact that already 6% of our students are only after 2 months of launching had activated their accounts shows that it could be a winner in terms of getting them to actually do extracurricular learning. And what's been even better is the enrolments on e-learnings on catalogue. So for students, there has been 249 enrolments so far, which shows that students are enrolling on e-learnings and often more than one. Of the staff using catalogue, 46% of current catalogue users have enrolled on at least one e-learning. So it shows that whilst the content for Learning at Work Week may not have been relevant, there is relevant content on there and it is being engaged with. So there's still a lot of work to do, but it has been a great start. So on to lessons learned. So it is really important to carefully consider the creation of content, especially when several people are creating content. Although I highly rate individuality and don't want every e-learning to look the same, some consistency is important to ensure quality and that the relevant information is included in every e-learning. So I highly recommend the creation and use of templates for this. Obviously, as I've already alluded to, the relevance of content is key. So asking staff what they want to learn is so important to ensuring engagement. However, it has been difficult to engage staff with the process of submitting this information. And I haven't yet come up with a solution for that. Obviously, ensure there is plenty of content before launching. I don't think there's anything worse than going in and seeing an empty site. And also this plays into ensuring the relevance of content. So, the same content won't be relevant to all staff, so a variety is good. Again, I haven't quite managed to pin this down yet, but obviously I would love to have better engaged with subject matter experts, because although we had initial interest, in the co-creation of e-learnings on catalogue, it never amounted to much. So I would really push this and follow up with people directly who seem engaged. And then in terms of our next steps, so we're going to continue promoting catalogue to both students and staff via our various communication channels. Obviously, continue to add content. Specifically, I will actually use the data collected from Learning at Work Week to inform this process. We know we didn't manage to provide much of what people asked for, so I will go back, look at that, and see if later down the line we can provide it. And then also, when it comes to professional development in general, the running of regular learning campaigns, the main piece of feedback that we've received from Learning at Work Week was that staff wanted more of it. They actually welcomed the opportunity. They kind of took it as permission to learn. So yeah, I think using obviously national learning campaigns, but also I think looking into the possibility of creating our own would go a long way in actually enabling people to take part in professional development. And that is everything from me. I will also share my contact information in the chat, but does anyone have any questions?